Welcome to today's episode of Speak Greasy. My guests are Sid and Shanky, better known as the Big Forkers. Their show on YouTube is unapologetically honest about food and restaurant reviews, and they spend their time discovering hidden gems around India and abroad. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so you guys are cousins who have had day jobs, and
I still have one.
you still have one, which
His day job now is the Big Forkers.
so it better be making money, right?
It better. So far, it's only cost us a significant sum. If I had just put it in the regular market, it would have done a lot better. But no, it's a passion project. So I left banking. I used to be a management consultant. I used to be a chef.
I was going to ask you actually.
Ah.
So you did a whole culinary training program.
Like a proper hardcore culinary program, like a full 4-year degree.
Why would you not pursue a career in culinary?
Because it's too much hard work and I'm too lazy. I don't want to work that hard. Have you seen, you see
You
the
spent
chefs?
how many years doing the?
So I did the whole program. That was enough hard work for me. And then I became a chef quite quickly. And I knew how to maneuver myself in the right place. And the US, it was just burgeoning, right? So yeah, but it was too much work. I remember one crazy night, we'd done 300 some covers. And I was like, you know what? This ain't for me. And I want to be on the other side of it.
Okay, hold that thought because I'm going to come back to that. But so coming back to then what led to this? What was the gap that you identified that led to this show?
I think one of the main gaps was everything was very gloss. Everything you saw about food shows was, this is very nice, this is very nice. Like, this can't all be this nice, right? Where is all this niceness when we are out eating? And we travel for a living, right? So when both our jobs, his earlier job, now my current job also, we're traveling a good 200 days a year to different parts of the world, country, wherever it is. And food is predominantly the main thing. The work is the excuse. But we're like, where is all this goodness that we're only seeing on camera? And then there were guys like Bourdain, who we used to be, I and he both used to be like fanboying on that one person. And that's where he did like a real show. And he was actually a great inspiration. And then when he was gone, it was a void, right? Like, where is the show as real as that? Where observations are going beyond just the plate. And, there's a story behind the plate. There's everything else around it. And we were missing that. And so it was one drunk conversation in Spain when he and we were doing an Anthony Bourdain food trail, actually. And one friend was like, you guys keep talking so much shit around food. Why don't you just put a camera and it's a show? That little seed was...
He's the reason I went broke.
That's true.
No, to echo Shank's, it truly was that, right? For somebody like me who's lived in too many places, you don't identify yourself with any particular place. Sure, I'm Indian. But even when I lived in India, I used to travel quite a lot because my dad was in the Merchant Navy. So I was always that other kid. I was always the kid from outside. Then I moved to America. Then I moved to China. And even while there, I was traveling around the world. So I always found myself through food. And when the Anthony Bourdain show started, when he wrote his first book, From Kitchen Confidential to his last work, I was like, there's somebody out there that speaks like me, for me, and is me. So I connected with him in many ways. And then when he was gone, there was no other show. I felt there was a void. So I'd been searching for something like that. Netflix had another show with Phil Rosenthal. But that shtick is a very sweet, haha, we're all happy, everybody loves Raymond kind of thing. And then in India, I'm afraid y'all had a severe dearth or shortage of anything real. It all felt too plastic.
I mean, you guys are friends with Rocky Reviewer. They had Highway on My Plate. And of course, it was very much about highway, sort of out dhabas and discoveries. And I know what you guys are doing is much beyond that. But do you feel like it's a thing of, look, anyone can take a camera and start doing this? If you have a camera and a personality, you can kind of go for it?
I think a personality is important. Rocky and Mayur will remain legends because A, they were the first movers in this. Second, it was the chemistry and the difference between each other. One was a little bit more technical, other was just goofing around. And also they sort of set the benchmark for things in India, right? And that street, there were always restaurants, but street nobody had covered like they had. Then the advent of YouTube has created a democratization of content to a certain degree. But with democratization also comes bullshit. There's so many content creators who have access to a camera, who have seen other people create content, and they just ape it. So there's nothing new. It's the same goddamn thing again and again and again.
So what is your USP? I mean, I know I was watching a bunch of the episodes back to back, and what I like, very honestly, it feels very real. Like I felt like I was there. I was just like gassing with you guys, and it was that very honest feedback, like that very instant reaction to whatever you were having, right? Good, bad, ugly, whatever. It wasn't something that you felt compelled to be polite and say. Only.
I think someone actually said this, one of the audience, and I love that line because it's the best way to put this across. He's like, we are Rocky and Mayur post 9 o'clock. Because basically the non-family friendly Rocky Mayur. So which I think in a sense is pretty much what we're doing. Like I don't think we're doing anything, so out of the ordinary. But what we're just doing is keeping it real in the sense where, and it also helps that neither of us are good in front of the camera, right? Which is basically being us. We're not being different in front of the camera or acting in front of the camera. So,
I mean, it's true in a way. Like people say, like, why one more podcast, right? It's like every now person can launch their podcast as well, and that's the flip side of a medium that is so available to everyone. But I think it's great because if you do really engaging content and you be you, I think there's and actually it's the same thing when it comes to a restaurant, right? I mean, we in a similar vein put all our money savings into a really stupid idea, which was opening a restaurant that we knew nothing about. And it's that you feel like, hey, there's something I want to do, and there'll be others who like this as well, hopefully. But you also have to keep at it. You have to be consistently putting stuff out. And so how long has the show been out there?
Since COVID. So
2020.
COVID feels like a long time. So.
Yeah. I mean, it was a necessity. We were just stuck. I couldn't go back home, right? I came to India for a holiday and we just got stuck. So
15-day holiday, that's now 4 years.
Having spent time working in kitchens and doing the hard work, do you ever feel like maybe you're being a bit too harsh on restaurants that you don't enjoy, or chefs or whoever, like, whatever?
Yeah. One has to be cognizant, right? So it is a business that employs people, and when we first started, we were a little bit bolder because we thought nobody gives a shit what we say. Once that has changed, then you have to be immediately, you start feeling a little bit more concerned. Responsible. There is that element. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to get mean only because it serves our show, but it doesn't serve the industry. So then we have to sort of while we're in the shoot, we have to think that through. It is more difficult to be that honest because most of the people that are in the business know us to some extent. Like we walk in, I can't hide, right? A 6'5" giant walks in and we've got 20 people shooting. But the other side of that, Gauri, is a complicated answer. I think in India, we don't take criticism well, and we don't have a full system of criticism, of informed criticism. What we have now, and it's a reaction to what you have on these aggregating platforms where anonymous people leave bullshit comments only to hurt you. And it's because it's a snipe shot from somewhere else without any knowledge or basis. We are putting ourselves out there in the public domain, in the industry, and sitting in front of the person saying, sorry, you screwed that up. What you just showed me is bullshit. It doesn't make any sense. Now, how we say that maybe could be a little bit more kind.
So I want to go into that one episode that's pretty infamous, the one that you guys did with House of Mandarin, right? Where, there were clearly things which, you called out on, but you were actually like, hey, I love some of this stuff. So, I mean, so the thing is that to me, what I left that episode with was that food is such a bloody personal thing, right? Like there's so much stuff out there that I'm like, who the hell is eating this, And you know that there's, and as a restaurateur, you feel like, oh, I've got the most discerning palate and like I know what good food is. But like the fact is that there's so much out there which I would not ever consume, but it is doing so well. It's getting all the investment. It's like, this is so when you see that happening around you, how do you sort of consider yourself the authority on something? Like, or do you?
Quite frankly, I don't think we're authority. Even the show, we're not saying it in any position of authority. It's a very personal opinion, right? So even when I say that I don't like something or Sid says he doesn't like something, it's not, this is nonsense, or even the other way around saying, oh, ye kitna acha hai. There's an explanation to why we like it or why we dislike it. And that's our explanation. I think I don't think we're coming from any sort of authority to say that this place should be dissed by the world or anything. We are saying we don't like it for these reasons. And I think we're being fairly honest to ourselves also over there that we're explaining why. We don't want to just say this is not good. We understand there are repercussions, but it's a business, right? It's a business for them, for the restaurateurs. It's a business for us when we're making the show. And we're trying to be honest about the show as well. We also don't go with the agenda that, okay, we're going to just go screw that restaurant. That's not the idea either, right? So, and which is where, like, at House of Man, it was a good example. Like, we went there, we reached there, obviously, and it just so happened that I was also studying in China for a few months. And we came and we were like, okay, so this is an authentic Chinese restaurant, great. And he was obviously post the COVID thing, all of that. He's like, yeah, good, let's do a Chinese restaurant. And then it's not a Chinese restaurant. It's a Chinese restaurant, which is great, which is nothing wrong with it. I like Chinese food. So I was like, this is great Chinese food. Yeah, I agree they should not be calling it Chinese. And that was the only thing we're calling out about it. And we were not saying it was bad. Like I said, I don't think it was bad, but it was not Chinese.
We love you, Rachel Goenka.
Yeah. We love you. See, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Someone said to me that it's always better to give criticism or feedback privately and give compliments publicly. But, I know you have a different view on this. So what's your thought?
So first, authority is how do you identify authority? One is what I call stamped authority. When you have a badge, when you have a name or a captain or a brigadier, a general, whatever. That's a stamped authority. So the world has said, okay, this person has done S amount of education. He's certified to say these things, and we take it for face value. Then I like to identify on the other side, I'm identifying as informed authority. Now, informed authority is not something you can say yourself. You go and you throw yourself out there in the wild, and if the industry says, you know what, this asshole is saying something that we agree with. Generally, we agree, and he seems to know X, Y, and Z. So if there is something negative coming out, then it makes them think. If we were absolutely horseshit, nobody would have given a damn. It would have been just another show. So I think to pat ourselves on the back, there is some informed authority there. Mm-hmm. And was not given to us, or not announced by us, but it was just given to us or accepted within the industry.
It's like you build credibility over time.
It's built from day one, and being honest and saying this is not right. And then other chefs will see that and say, yeah, there's something wrong. I think that's one part of it. The other part is where now the complication is when you get a little bit more famous, or the industry knows you. When we go out to eat, when we are doing the show, we pay every time so we can talk shit. But the minute, and now we go with friends and we go out to eat, and if we are invited, then there won't be anything on the internet from us, because then it becomes habit, and it's easy to fall into a trap and constantly go for free meals. And you start writing about them, then everybody else knows what you have done. Yeah. And what everybody already does. I will call out this industry all day long. Almost every critic who pretends to be a critic is getting free meals, getting junkets. And that's why you have such bullshit hotel restaurants being in the top 50 list, because they can afford to give them a sweet, give them a meal, give them a bottle of wine.
We'll come back to awards and recognition.
Oh, sorry.
Favorite subject.
Yeah. Sorry.
As you get to know people and they become friends, etc., does it not make your job harder?
Definitely.
Much harder.
I mean, which is why I'm not the most social one. He is.
Yeah. And I have to be more social because we're trying to build this, and we're trying to build a much larger version of who we are, and like become a place for a lot of content creators, such as yourself. Like, build this umbrella. So yeah, it's a lot harder. How the hell do you go and have a conversation, an honest conversation on camera about somebody that you hang out with post meals? So without a doubt, I don't know how I will navigate that. I will go back to how I saw somebody else. There are not a lot of mentors in this industry. The only mentor I have is somebody who's not there anymore, was Anthony Bourdain. He used to hate Rachel Ray, he used to hate some of these. Emerald Lagasse used to go after him hammer and tong. I have worked with Emerald Lagasse. I know how hard that guy worked. Yes, it was massy and, on food television, he was doing bam and boom. But they made peace and he said, look, I've also learned as a critic that I'm not eating for this level. There are other people who are enjoying this meal. They just want a damn shrimp creole. They don't want it to be a particular style. So I think it's a process of learning. And it's much harder, for sure. There's no bullshit around that.
It's definitely going to get harder, I think.
The more we know, the harder it is. So then we get into other things. We start looking at other restaurants to cover. And some restaurants that I really want to cover, because there is so much noise, and when I feel there's too much publicity, there is no chance I'm going to go there. Mm-hmm. Because I want the freedom to be able to talk about it. Whether they let me come in there is a whole different issue, because they know that if I'm saying no 100 times to a lot of places, and I would say 95% I say no to, at any given chance, I know them, they know that something is up in his head. So they won't even let us shoot there.
Fair enough. But you've also now sort of moved into a different kind of genre, which is street food, like really focusing on that. And your latest season that's just dropped on YouTube is all about Delhi. And at least the episodes so far focused on street food. And I learned a shitload. Like I used to, go to Delhi a lot as a kid. My mom's side of the family's from there. But I'm not doing a stint, by the way, and saying this is like a homecoming.
I'm also from Bombay. No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Yeah, how many places are you from?
It's just,
so for those of you who don't know, Sid has connects with pretty much every part of the country. I think except the south. That's all yours.
That's you.
No, I'm sure there'll be somewhere. now he's going to Goa. No, now when he goes to Goa, it's a homecoming.
Obviously.
For 4 years, man.
Yeah.
So if anybody's really keeping count, Kashmiri, because of my mom, but I'm born on the border of Bihar and Bengal, and have Bengali relatives. Dad is Rajasthani Marwari from Indore. Grew up in Florida. School in Philadelphia. Lived in China. At the same time, maintained houses in Osaka, Seoul, Singapore, Hong Kong.
You're a man of the world.
So I all of these places. Like I'm back home.
But so coming back to your the Delhi season.
Yeah.
I was watching it and I had no idea that there were certain neighborhoods that were sort of for certain types of cuisine. Like I think it's Humayunpur is for
Northeast.
Did I say Humayunpur?
Yeah, because we kept saying it wrong, no?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I did our own. Singapura, Humayunpura.
Yeah, and Zakir Hussain is
exactly.
I know this whole idea of migrant food is a little controversial because that is what Delhi is, right? It's a melting pot.
Yeah.
There were a lot of these people who have come from Pakistan, have ended up here, etc., right? And the third generation, fourth generation is bound to have morphed over the years. What is this idea of authentic and traditional? What's your take on it?
I'm not a stickler for authentic, quite frankly. I mean, it's fine. I would love to know what the original was, but I think I'm okay with like a rendition coming in, and I know he has this thing that defined, like most of our episodes, even a burger has to be eaten only in a certain way and all of that. So I'm more relaxed about the whole authenticity. So I like interpretation. I'm okay with interpretation. I feel like chefs are also artists end of the day. Like each one's got his own bit to try, which is fine. But I have a problem if you sell it to me saying, no, this is the original authentic and this is what you're doing. And then it's not means then I feel
But how would anybody know? I mean, a lot of these things are like decades old, right?
But then there are people who claim and then sell based on that. And that's my concern. Like when you're selling based on a claim, you're basically just making a fool out of everyone who's coming to you with your belief key. And then you got stamped by somebody saying you're okay to say this authenticity, whatever. So that is my concern.
The easy answer there is to know where you're going, you must know where you came from.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I think it helps to know where these dishes come from and what are the genesis and what created it. And obviously, this is all a story of migration that goes back 3,000 years, and it's morphed. What was started in Delhi, Peshawar came to Delhi, Delhi to Moradabad, Moradabad to Rampur, Rampur to Bengal. And you see these little nuances of change. But I think we have a fairly decent canon of work in our historical references about food that one, if takes the time, can articulate that quite easily. I think we have become it's just easier to sell without explaining what it is. And most of this conversation was around that whole pulao and biryani situation, right? What is a pulao? And we have spoken about this before because you had somebody else on your podcast about this, and I got a call back from her. But yeah, so what happens is everybody has bits and bobs of information, but it takes a little bit of work to actually research this. And to me, it was of extra interest because I had spent 9 months researching strictly biryani and pulao and the genesis of it.
So what
it's complicated. It's still complicated. I mean, I can get into, we need another podcast with all your other guests to have a hash out with this and bring Kurush Dalal to be the moderator. All I'm asking is credit it the right way. It is why we have rampant plagiarism in everything, and then nobody knows who the hell wrote the first piece. Because we say it doesn't matter, it's how you read and how you perceive it. Why at the same time, then we as Indians care about buying a sparkling wine, a Spumante or a champagne? Because it's IGT. We know it says it's champagne because it's from the region of Champagne, and we pay the extra amount to consume that product. Why can we not do that with our own product? Right? Why do we have to take, for example, we have the Gucci Palau. There are certain regions that have much higher quality in Kashmir. If we create an IGT, then you have this conversation and then you can market, you can celebrate it. So even with dishes like a Hyderabadi Palau is a very particular style of cooking. Obviously, when you get out of Hyderabad, then within Hyderabad also you have different variations, but then you can champion that dish and then talk about it with that reverence. I don't have a problem of all the other biryanis that exist around it. Just name them what they are or a derivation.
But I think this comes from a sort of pedestal that we put authentic food on. And if we actually just embrace food as something that continuously evolves and, for me, honestly, as a restaurateur, it comes down to does it taste good or not?
Yeah.
And do I want to still eat it the next day or the day after? Do I want to come back for it?
True.
That's my benchmark.
You take a lot of care. One of my favorite things at your restaurant is your lobster roll. Now, if anybody knows lobster rolls, will recognize that it's from the Northeast. It's pretty much either from North Carolina up to Connecticut.
But it's very different in a Maine lobster roll is very different.
Sure, a Maine is very different. You have a very North Carolina, even accidentally if you did it, you're very close to that sort of territory. But that's because you've taken the effort to put it in that format and you've taken the care. My people like me, and there are very few of us, and nobody needs to listen to us. It is just our internal Ivory League, Ivory Tower conversations of faffing about it over a Chardonnay, is this intellectualization of food, and it has its place. It's an argument. Nobody needs to give a shit about what I think. But I will not hold back my opinion nonetheless, because I care about how much effort you as a restaurateur made when you created that dish, and you're paying homage to that. Likewise, I want the Indians to be able to do that with a Sindhi curry is a Sindhi curry. If you take out those identifiers from it, it is just a Gujarati curry. So why not respect it? That's
absolutely. But another word that I have major issues with is best. Okay, yes. So no, but come on, you guys know that a lot of times people will say this is the best, whatever.
I don't understand.
Sushi, or this is the best, this, best, that. Who the hell is qualified to make those?
And that, I think we'll all just agree here, because it's like even our show, you see, he will say this is the best. And I'll be like, no, you like it. It's no, you like it, so it's the best.
I will say this is one of the best I've had. My problem is to say, I don't understand the qualifier.
Saying
I cannot, I will not. That is against very grain. If I have, then I've done it under the pressure of camera, and you can skewer me online for this. Because I don't think that makes any sense. And there's a lot of that now. Everybody wants to say things with such emotion that I don't understand. Best of what? How? What is the benchmark?
let's come to our favorite subject on this note. Again, as a restaurateur, I will say that there's a lot of mileage from being recognized, and as a marketing tool, it's hugely helpful. But as a consumer, and as a restaurateur, there's a lot of sort of, that it's not the real shit, right? Like, that there's a lot of marketing and money and whatever behind all of this. So you guys, as people who are sort of part of the food fraternity, and you see all of this around you, what's your take on it? Like, India's definitely on the map. So what's your take on, how this represents the food of the country?
Does it represent the food of the country? A country? I don't know. It represents the metros and large cities because everything is weighted against the rest of the country. We're talking about maybe 1% of this nation. The rest of the country doesn't give a shit. It doesn't even know what is happening. They don't watch these awards. Maybe they'll watch it in glancing. So it is a introspective. It is a conversation within very, very few people, and it's like a pinball machine within our industry that echoes, and we feel like it's so important. But you step outside, it's an entire fucking arcade that nobody knows that this game is going on.
No, but as a restaurateur, she's saying it affects the business.
100%. So I was just coming to that. So from how it reflects on India, I don't think it makes any noise at all, whatsoever. There are other ones like Zomato just did something, which is their own model, which is serving 32 lakh customers a day. And a Avatara or Navtara in Goa, one, which I have eaten once and which I thought is the worst meal I've ever had in India. But that's what the public wants, and that's how they measure it. So now coming back to the crux of the issue, there are, I'm going to be, again, brutally honest about how the award system works here. There are some that are just bought. So without naming them, they're just bought. You can participate, then you pay another 15,000, then you pay another 10, 15,000, you're guaranteed to get something. If you don't get it in the category, they'll create a goddamn category for you. You're the best one with a brick wall. Some nonsensical idea and it reaches large enough groups of people that they'll want to come and check it out.
Exactly.
Because it impacts business. So you take it. But within your peers, they know that it's bullshit. So it is, again, it's segregated in the information category.
Think about it now as a business, right? Where in a business, if you have to be completely objective and not talk about what's deserved, not deserved, is there something wrong in doing it if it's going to help you as a marketing exercise?
I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, my problem with it is slightly different. I think that the whole awards thing, at least now that in the last 4 years we've gotten more into it to see what's happening, it's just like this very few set of people, that same echo chamber that is deciding what restaurant is good or bad. And they're not necessarily people who've gone out of that zone or even seen which has gone beyond, right? And I think with this whole advent of India being on the map and all of that, I think now slowly that will trickle down to, I'm hoping that it will trickle down to something more meaningful. While this is great, and it definitely, like you said, it helps the restaurant as a business, like to put that relate to what we do as a video, when we do that stupid thing saying call out, right? When we do a CTA, we all hate it. Yeah, exactly. We all hate it, but dhanda hai, karna padta hai, because that's what gets you the money. It's the same thing for a restaurant. You have to do this bit. You do it as much as you can afford to do, and you do that, which is fine. But I feel that this will eventually lead to something where these awards actually start, some of them which will actually get serious, which will actually have some meat behind them, which are not just sold, will probably start making more sense. Like Japan, for example, they have their own awards, right? Which is, they're not really necessarily, if you see the restaurants are not really putting up just Michelin. They've got their own Japanese awards. I forget what is the new one. Just a friend of mine last week was telling me about it. She's like, don't even bother with the Michelin guide. You'll go to this one. This is the more authentic one. Here, if you see any rating above 3, you know it's a really good place out of 5.
Do you think you guys would ever create an award?
Yes, 100%. So now, okay.
And in a fair way, like, you think that there's a
two things are happening. I'm going to put it out. I don't care. Other people are going to hate me for this. So we put out a list last year, and the list is not like La List. It is just places we like, and we were asked for the methodology, and I said there is methodology. It is our methodology. It's like the Zagat rating without actual rating. This is what we like, and we would like to try. And that's it. Simple. There's arbitrary information shared by 2 people to the wider world. Do we want to create an actual award? So we've been working on the math and methodology with Ernst & Young for a very long time. It takes a lot to get this done because it has to be foolproof. And the problem is there's a human component to it. The minute you add a human component, you know there is risk of cheating. And that's something to weed out who your jury is going to be is extremely complicated. I have, this is going to sound so harsh, but I'm going to be, the more a place has influencers going there, chances are that place is not selling something good. Because if they need influencers to market it to a certain level, then it's a complicated issue because it's not speaking for itself. So many places in the cities where I've seen junkets of people going and posting on social media, I know, and then I go in and I'm like, yep. So how do I use that? Do I use them as an aggregator base? So it's complicated, but yes. On top of that, I have just joined an organization which has been released, and my name is as a chairperson, one of the chairs of it. With
well, if it's public information,
okay, Rasna Ulesing has asked me to join her. She's like, I want a clean sheet, etc., etc. I let her say it for herself, and Kunal, and I am fighting tooth and nail to keep it as clean as possible. In fact, I brought in Ernst & Young there also, and I've got so far full support from the team. Rashi has been full on like transparent. This is the last innings I'm playing. Everything I've touched, somebody's come and something has happened to it, but I really want to do it in a clean way. So I have agreed. I asked a lot of people, and I got a lot of like, you going to join them? It's like,
this is the beginning of the end, Sid.
Yeah, and so I have
said it first, guy.
Okay, this is the first time I've said it in public.
It's actually, yeah, this is the first time it's not public as yet.
It's not public, but some people
are the reels going out tomorrow.
yeah. So it went out on some publication that only a few in the
nobody reads.
Nobody reads. So it was in some, and I got messages because it said, I kid you not, because I want him to change this. So this is why you're going to change this on this heading. It says India's most trusted review rating. I'm like, anybody that tells themselves that this is the most trusted is shady. And that was the message I wrote on the way here to your place, to those guys. So please don't kill me, Rush. But yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, I mean, this is the whole point, that this is evolving. This whole space is evolving from, how you do reviews to how you kind of recognize places to kind of the parameters. The fact is that it's a human reaction at the end of the day to food.
Yeah.
But there's no denying that food now is front and center of everybody's life. It's the new form of entertainment. Earlier it used to be first day, first show for movies. Now it's first day, first show for restaurants.
100%.
When you travel, you first make your list of places that you want to go. You get your sort of research done. You travel because you've got a reservation in some place sometimes, so it's definitely become something that you cannot ignore or just think of as a need.
Correct. It is part of the social currency.
Yeah. You guys have just done Delhi. What's next? What was before? What's next? Tell us a little bit more.
I think Delhi itself has quite a bit to go right now. There's still another, I think, 10, 12 episodes to go.
And you've done like everything from like street food to fine dining.
Yeah. So we hit up like, we ended up at Bukhara's with Veer Sangvi. It was a fun matchup to have him and us sitting on the same table with very different opinions. And it was a fantastic episode.
You'll see in the edit. I love it. This happened. So we were like, okay, Veer Sangvi is going to come. He wants a proper. He'll be very proper, this, that, and all. I go in, I was like, I'm not going to let this be proper. I'm going with a vengeance to just not make this a proper show. And I'm going to fully push him to that. He walks in, 5 minutes in, he's like, fuck something. I was like, what? He's like, oh yeah, on your show I can abuse, right? He's like, yeah, fuckity, fuck. I was like, wait, I don't have to do this. He's just on a roll.
And the captain with the naan is like, sir.
He's like, ye kaun sa avatar hai aapka? He's just going, fuckity, fuck. I was like, whoa, love it.
You bring out the best in people.
I don't know about that.
No, we did Inja, we did some really fun stuff.
No, but also one good part about Delhi is, like, I've got friends from Delhi call, like you said, you've been going to Delhi for years. I've had friends from Delhi call me saying, ye kya jagah tha? Hum log yahan pichhle 40 saal se reh rahe hain. We haven't heard of this. Yeah, so which is nice. I think all kudos to our research team as well.
Well, how do you go about research? Or how do you pick?
It takes shitload of time. You asked what we're doing next, and the research has started now, and it's a detailed research in the Northeast.
The Northeast is fully now coming onto people's radar in a way. I mean, we've had some amazing meals here from the Northeast, and I had no idea. I'll be completely honest, from Al to the Kasi sister, Simba, people where I did not know what this food was. I mean, my complete, honest ignorance here, but it is fully coming into its own now.
It's fantastic food here. It's so Al's food. That pork galo gives me
I don't know what the vegetarians do out there, but
Northeast is extremely complicated and extremely expensive to shoot. As it is, we are a frighteningly expensive
production.
Because we do it in a certain way. Now imagine...
Because you guys have a big entourage.
Yeah. And you, 1 second, you can't be talking about much, right? Can you turn the camera around this side as well?
Wait, we'll capture this on our phone. Very soon. So, it's a fairly large... For the first time, we got to use a vanity van of sorts in Thailand, which is the greatest thing when it's 35 degrees. I just sat in there waiting for the next shot. But Northeast is complicated, right? Our research, we just started, and I use these expandable whiteboards, and I've gone down to such a fine print, and I still haven't finished just the dishes. It's so complicated. That's definitely on the... And we want to do it justice, because I don't think anybody has done it justice in the pantheon of food content creation. So anyway, MP, we're really excited about it, because part of our family is from there. At least half of our family. And it's not been covered much.
Yeah.
So we want to cover that.
I know when we went to Mewara last year, I mean, I would not have found my way there, on holiday, I have to be honest. But I was this food needs to come out. People need to discover this a lot more. Besides the show and the content online, you guys have built a crazy ass community offline.
We've always looked at this as a much larger scalable enterprise, right? But we've taken our time and seen how it'll morph into multiple things. So obviously we do content, and content leads everything. So in any business now, it's about content, it's about product, and it's about community. These three things must align, because that you get longevity, and then you can create these feedback loops. So we decided to start the FDC just as a place to figure out where we want to eat. For the last 20 years, people email me. In any city they go, hey man, where am I eating? Everywhere. And I've traveled so much that I'll write. So I just wanted to create this group to start that conversation. Then it morphed into a bitching session between folks when they want to, articulate how much they dislike a place. And now it's becoming a resource group. So I want to help change that into a resource group. Also get into events. So we have an events business, which we do large scale events. We have a smaller events business that we are looking to partner or take some of an existing company. And also help other content creators that don't have the same business acumen, because we both come from building businesses, and grow that out. So content, events, community, and commerce. And we already have partnerships with Warner Brothers, and so it's an ongoing process. We already have a show with them, and then with Sony. So quite excited. We're trying to take other content creators. So working very closely with Kunal now. I don't think there's an official announcement. So we'll let Kunal Vijayakar make that announcement. He might be... I
have to say, our prep kitchen is just opposite Baghdadi. And so every day when I go there, I almost I don't want to, because there's this big screen up there, and they play your video from your shoot there on a loop. 24 hours a day.
It happens in quite a few places.
I don't want to see their faces again for a long time.
Imagine the oddity of a man having our faces tattooed on his leg. That happened in Brazil.
What?
Yeah. There's a guy that has our faces tattooed on his leg.
That is borderline.
Yeah. It's just the thing.
Oh, no. Of course.
How did you find out?
They sent a picture.
He's like...
he said, do you mind? I'm putting you on my leg. And I was like, I don't know how that came out. I'm like, that sounds odd. But it is a tribe. and they do some silly things.
What silly things? Come on, tell us the worst troll you've had.
Oh, trolls are, I mean, I don't know if this language will permit me, but I'll give you an example. Trolling hate messages?
Of course.
How do you deal with
We
it?
call it Bombay. Can you imagine how much hate?
So I'll give you one example. Somebody wanted to do, I think we went to, I might have gone outside the RSS headquarters and pet a cow and said, oh, you're lucky to be here.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I
you would have been
saw
here.
that,
So they didn't take very kindly to that. So they wanted to do unmentionable things to all the women in my family. So I answered back saying, hey, why did you leave my dad out? He's not that bad looking. So that guy didn't know how to answer. And then the rest of the trolls jumped on. They're like, ooh, that's a hard comeback. Don't know where to go with this.
Okay.
That's one. We had somebody who called us beef-eating pigs. We're like, but we're pig-eating beefs also. So even the troll was like, ooh. So we go right back. Like, if you have a thin skin in this game, you're going to get chewed and spun.
Okay.
So,
if I have to pick one discovery, or you have to pick rather, one discovery that really blew you away.
First one up there is Kallu Ki Nihari. That thing really, like he keeps talking about Kallu Ki Nihari, he keeps talking about a lot of things, right? This is the best, you have to do this. Not all of it hits the mark, but Kallu Ki Nihari I was like, this is going to be one more. Sid has loved it since his childhood, all of that story. We had the first bite in and I was like, this is just mad.
Better than Chinese and grill?
It was... No, yeah, definitely.
you guys don't have Nihari in Bombay.
Yeah.
You call it Nihari.
Okay.
No, after Kallu Ki Nihari, even I will agree to that. Otherwise, a strong bastion for Bombay, but with that one, I couldn't. Man, that was just out of the park. And then Humayunpur, again, as an area, all those, even the Naga restaurant, the Assam, that lady was, man, that was such good.
The one who gave you the diarrhea. Ayurvedic.
Oh, yes, let's mention it once more. It was not done enough.
We had severe diarrhea in Delhi.
Shanky had diarrhea all through.
He missed out a couple of episodes.
I am getting Roko to sponsor the next video.
I think that's break. There's also break. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's one called.
We did have in Bangalore, in a champagne flute, we were drinking Daiji.
Yeah.
Because we were like, we're done. Any more benne dosas? Any more benne dosas? So we just walked around with a bottle of Daiji. Sponsor us, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mine was during research. Was in Gujarat. Remember Sidhpur and these places, that this village in the middle of nowhere, I can guarantee nobody here knows where Sidhpur is. It's a tiny town in Gujarat, which was populated by Bori Muslims who were timber traders in Burma. So there are 3 streets that look like the 14th Arrondissement in Paris.
Exactly like that.
A copy of the 14th Arrondissement with the same houses.
With the long conical.
With Burmese teak, fashioned like Parisian houses. And for breakfast, they have khawsway. It's a non-vegetarian khawsway for 100 rupees in the middle of a village.
In Gujarat.
In Gujarat.
Okay, that is trippy.
It's
Yeah.
crazy, yeah.
And we were just driving around.
What led you there?
Because we were looking at, because, we're irreverent meat eaters. And then, and I had written once a column called No Country for Meat Eaters, and something to that effect. And I was hell-bent on trying to figure out why we have these issues with meat in the country. And Gujarat's a great place.
Gujarat actually has a large percentage.
It's only 48% vegetarian. The rest are meat eating.
Yeah.
And then we had spoken to a bunch of people that said, undio is such a classical vegetarian dish. No, there's an undio with chicken. So then we had somebody it's like a matka chicken. So they had the same elephant yam, and somebody went all the way out to a village on a train.
Yeah.
And through some important connections, and it came back to a farmhouse, and it was undio with chicken.
Why is no one doing this stuff in Bombay?
We will start these things now.
Yeah, South Bombay have a meaty non-vegetarian, but none of them will go there.
Ooh, edit that out.
Sorry, that's your client.
Anything in Bangalore? I know you guys were surprised.
Khazana was my discovery in Bangalore.
Oh, the other one was how much meat they eat.
Yeah.
I thought South India eats dosa, this thing, that, and I call it South India, which irritates him. But I was a typical North Indian who didn't live in India, so I had very little idea. I was married once to a South Indian. That didn't work out very well either. So now I'm walking around and we go to this Shivaji Shivaji, military hotel. Rangana military hotel. And they're like, I'm like, so what are the meat dishes? What are the vegetarian? You look at me like, what vegetarian? It's all meat.
And he has offals and everything.
So yeah, from everything, head to toe, it's nose to tail. And India has been eating like that for a very long time. And then you realize some 96% of the southern population are meat eaters, which leads to India being 78% meat eating.
Okay, I have a rapid fire for you. Street food in Singapore, Delhi, and Bombay. Rank them.
Oh, street food, Singapore, Delhi, Bombay.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, what?
Yeah,
You're
food.
like, hello, Bombay.
Street food, Delhi definitely does a better job than Bombay. I will give it that.
I'm going to send you your Tawa episode.
Just Vada Pav is the one thing that we do better than anything they have. But they do their kebabs on the streets. We don't have kebabs on our street. It's not the same kebab.
And he's a meat eater, no?
Yeah. I mean,
it's
I'm not
the same, but dude, Chandi Bazaar, no?
No.
Not when you go to suddenly that Jama Masjid, Nizamuddin, those street food, that street food is like.
And we didn't even cover Nizamuddin. You go to Nizamuddin, you go to Zakir.
We ate there,
Zakir Hussain.
But yeah, Zakir Hussain.
But there's so many Chittaranjan Park, all Bengalis. Delhi's got so many micro communities that live there because it's the capital. Not really.
No, Bombay does have, they have communities. There are just small communities here and there.
Mass Gujaratification of food in Bombay.
Okay, fine dining, dead or alive?
Alive, definitely. India, definitely. I think we're now getting some decent fine dining in our country. In my opinion, for sure.
Yeah, growing. It's the new 8th thing. Whether it truly is fine dining or not, one will...
The fine part of it is still coming in, but the dining part is happening. But yeah, fine dining is coming in.
It's interesting because there's so much now discovery of street food, regional food, all of that I sometimes question whether people see value.
So you're seeing it, if I may posit this point to you, we're seeing it from your perspective, right? But you look at everybody else that is aspirational, is trying to get to the fine dining. Whether they know it's not, it's a different thing. Bastion is the culmination of everybody's wet dream when it comes to fine dining. It's not. But, Suvir's done a great job curating that menu. And to what people like us, I think big COVID changed how we look at food because all these people were stuck. Some of them couldn't get jobs, so they can start going back to their family recipes. And that has created a great influx of regional cuisines, lost cuisines. And those enterprises became businesses. And now we have access to that.
And I think with purchasing power, increasing fine dining is getting its due, right? Now, the aspiration for a fine dine, which used to be once a month or probably twice a month, is now coming down to once a week or even a 25 to 30-year-old, right? So he or she can also now afford.
And talk to all the Indian fine dining chefs around the world.
No, but I mean tasting menus and things. Do you think that there's...
Tasting menus? I don't know if that in India.
Yeah, I think is questionable in India. I think because, again, like you said, the palate in India changes every 100 kilometers. So this tasting menu just becomes too restrictive for people. I've had I think some of the most talked about tasting menus and suddenly you go there this, I don't like any of this. So suddenly for me, it's never going to be a place I'll go back to. So I think that is a concern.
I think small plates, fine dining, small plates graduating to large plates, a lot of what you guys are doing, what La Pantera is trying to do. I think it's the way. That's what's happening in around the world, because you get to try and sample many things, and you're not feel like you're restricted to. There's a lot of folks are just learning how to experience this.
Strangely enough, in south of India, I was in Kerala, in Kochi, just last 2 weeks back. It's really cool as a culture. They have their version of tapas areas.
The Bear, binge or cringe?
Binge. For sure.
Season 3?
No.
Okay, that's why you're saying this.
Yeah. I heard it's quite bad.
Is it? It's bad, huh? I haven't seen season 3 yet.
They should have got Croson to sponsor that.
No, some of it was hyper real. I just brought back memories. Though I found it much nicer when I was in the kitchen.
No, because you're still on season 2, so that was the best.
What is your take? You're a restaurateur now. So, as in, what is your take?
It's such a, there's this constant anxiety in the entire season. And you just think it'll get better, I mean, that's not what this industry is. Yes, it's got its share of daily drama, but it's not.
They've gone full Ekta Kapoor.
Yeah. Plant-based meats. Try.
Fuck that. Just when we are going for Sonal Wade's book opening.
Yeah.
I was surprised how good the chicken was. Though I couldn't stop giggling when they called it. No, we are not a plant-based restaurant. We are a plant-based butchery. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, no, it's a
But
plant.
I've seen this.
Love handle.
Oh, that's what it's called.
Yeah,
right?
love handle.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got love handles because I eat too much meat. This is not working for me. No, but I gotta say that Hainan chicken rice or Hainan plant-based butchered thing was quite.
It was okay, so it was not bad tasting, but I don't see the purpose of its
authentic.
existence. Why does it exist? Either eat
The squid
or don't eat it.
Because if you eat too much meat, you could like die.
and the rest of the planet.
Everyone's dying. What do you mean?
He's a
Die
fatalist.
happy. Right?
He's a fatalist.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, no, I don't get the point of it.
Yeah, I got kids. No, I'm worried about that. No, he's like, no, let the world die. Fuck it. I don't.
Oh, speaking of kids,
Ah.
nice segue into work-life balance.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
This is something I get asked a lot, which is how do I balance? Because I'm a mother and
Yeah.
a woman, right? Because men have like absolutely no role in the home.
Yeah.
Is that true? Or you have two gorgeous daughters and a lovely wife, and you're on the road? What, like
Most of the time.
month?
Most of the
least.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've been, they sort of grew up around that because I've been doing that for the last 20 years. What I do, I make sure is when I'm there, I'm 100% there. So there's no phones. There is no, I don't like fiddling around phones. I don't allow anybody to fiddle around with the phone. I find it very irritating. So then it's proper quality time.
So top tip from a working dad.
Yeah.
How to spend.
Take the phone away. Even if you're watching TV, watch what they're watching. But certainly be engaged with them. And then they have so much to share. It can be boring because everything they're telling you at a young age, you already learned and know. But you have to feign interest. But still, it's a nice way to engage.
Do your kids listen to anything you guys do? Because
Yeah. His kids are brought up the hard way.
Yeah, so they...
what, you're like, watch my show, increase my views.
No.
I make Jay and Dia do that. I'm like, go on different TVs if this works. Put it on. Watch it on your phone.
No,
It's all organic, by the way. All my...
No, I've got two little nerds, and they're much like their mom in ways. So yeah, no, I lucked out. You know, they say in India, they don't say good things about your kids, kala nazar and all of that. I'm like, fuck that shit. I got smart ass kids. They're gonna rule the world.
Amazing. Okay, favorite finale question. This one's for you, especially.
Okay.
Vegetarians, love them or hate them?
So you heard that joke. There was a vegetarian and a vegan jump off the 11th floor to see who reaches down first. Guess who won? Society.
On that note, these guys didn't get big by eating vegetables. So, listen, guys, it's been a riot. Thank you so much. This has been fun and lots of big reveals on the episode.
Yeah, a lot of reveals happen.
Yeah.
Best interview we've done ever.
Woohoo!
We still use the word best.
I know. In this context, anything to do with me and my businesses, it's fine.